Good evening, I'm Jason Vio. Katarina is away this week. This is CBC Windsor News. Thank you so much for watching. Tonight, the noisiest streets in Windsor. We'll let you hear what area topped that list. Plus, is Windsor in recovery mode? One expert believes so. We take a look at improving unemployment numbers. Mini pigs aren't real. That's what the owner of a regional freedom farm is saying after people are dropping off pigs they got as pets, thinking they would stay small. And the many faces of Windsor will soon be showcased at a local library. It's a part of a bigger CBC project that will share stories of the many immigrants in our community. We've found the noisiest neighborhood in Windsor. At least that's according to 311 call center complaints. Our TJ Deer looks at the loudest areas and what may be causing those concerns.
According to data collected by the city, the loudest ward in 2022 was Ward 4, making up almost a quarter of the total complaints across the city. Most of them were at this stretch of Parent Avenue. Although it's quiet now, some residents say they're not surprised.
I noticed a lot of trucks using this specific route. I find it's just a convenient route for them, but there's a lot of traffic, as well as the accidents here are wild. I've noticed, there was probably about 7 or 8 accidents within the last 6 to 8 months just within this intersection alone.
Others share the view of this resident.
I don't hear any noise, so for me it's quite quiet.
Another noisy part of the city last year? The 1500 block of Polonia Park Place, where 16 noise complaints were issued. Ward 8 Councillor Gary Kashak thinks he knows why this street is so noisy.
The narrowness of the street, and then the fact you got some workers, and you will even get some speeding even up and down here every so often. But today's pretty tame for a Tuesday afternoon, that's for sure.
Another noisy neighborhood is Sandwich Town. Although there were only 41 complaints last year, in 2020, Ward 2 had the second most complaints throughout the city. That jumped up to the most complaints in 2021. Councillor Fabio Costante says residents have told him what they think is causing the noise complaints.
Residents that live along Riverside Drive West, for example, Wyandotte Street West, and in and around major arterial roads like University Avenue and Mill Street and Sandwich Street, etc., have called me from time to time about loud mufflers and loud car noise.
This city bylaw specifies the type of offenses which would constitute a viable noise complaint. The bylaw also specifies the time when these noises are not permitted, as well as if they're in a commercial or residential area. Animal-related noises are exemptions to the bylaw. Exceptions to the bylaw are garbage and recycling collection and certain emergency situations. Costante said more information was needed about what is actually causing people to file a complaint. The online form does not give an option of noises to select from, but does include a comments section. 311 said this is where people write why they're complaining, but that they do not track this information. Costante is encouraging residents to keep contacting 311 if they want to submit a noise complaint. He said if more people call, Windsor Police can better use its resources to mitigate further instances and eliminate noise hotspots. TJ Deer, CBC News, Windsor.
Windsor Essex no longer has the highest unemployment rate in Canada. An expert who tracks the data locally believes the region is in recovery mode. Now, here are the two key numbers. The unemployment rate is down 2.7% from a year ago. That means more people looking for work have found jobs. That second number is the participation rate. It's been going up, meaning more people are actively working or looking for work in Windsor Essex. Here's one reason why it could be on the rise.
Might be some positivity of those that maybe were laid off during COVID, wanted to switch careers, now have a plan. They're finding more work, but it might also be a reflection of people dealing with inflation. They need more money to cover costs of food, rent, things like that. So they're looking for maybe a second job, taking on more work, or maybe looking for their first job earlier as a student.
Those who run childcare centers are continuing to try and desperately fill positions. Last night, we told you about the shortage of early childhood educators and what it means for access to childcare in this province. Tonight, we look at some possible solutions. As CBC senior reporter Mike Crawley tells us, people who work in childcare say it all starts with wages.
Do you want to make some cupcakes? Here, come have a seat.
It looks like play, but it's actually learning.
That's really kind, Parker.
At this childcare center in Toronto, early childhood educators, or ECEs, actively engage with the kids.
We are not babysitters,
Maxine Chidorowicz is the supervisor here and an ECE.
but the educators do so much more than just, arts and crafts and playing games all day. They really are teachers, and they are using play as a tool to teach young children and help them reach their full potential.
I'm making a rainbow paint.
It takes 2 years of post-secondary to become an early childhood educator. In its childcare deal with the federal government, Ontario set the minimum wage for ECEs at $18 an hour.
One of my colleagues described it as a slap in the face, and I think that's pretty accurate.
Jess Tomas says the most crucial change needed to tackle the shortage of ECEs is to pay them better.
While we have billions of dollars going to provinces and to municipalities for childcare, the childcare workers who are delivering these programs haven't seen anything.
The provincial government promises to train more workers for the childcare sector.
Because we're going to have more demand for it. It's a good problem to have, but we are acting on our plan to expand the amount of early childhood educators within our childcare settings.
Here, let's roll up your sleeves.
People involved in childcare say recruiting new staff is less of a challenge than retaining them.
The children that I work with, I'm really attached with them.
Krisha Barametta does a split shift every day at a childcare centre in the West End of Toronto.
I don't see the future of me continuing in the field.
Why not?
Just the working hours, the pay. It's really devastating that we are paying below what we are supposed to be paid and for the work that we actually do for the community and the children.
This is the time that we're going to build this new childcare system, but we can't do that on the backs of childcare workers. We can't expect them to continue to, shoulder this and be so terribly underpaid.
Oh, good job, Cooper.
Critics call this a classic example of undervaluing a female-dominated profession. In Ontario, 98% of early childhood educators are women. Mike Crawley, CBC News, Toronto.
We've talked a lot about the price of groceries going up. It's something you see adding up quite quickly at the register, but there's another place you might be noticing the cost increasing, your favorite shawarma spot. Here's a look at why the price of your late night meal or lunch break staple is on the rise.
Mendy's, how can I help you? Sure, what can I get for you? One small. Do you want a chicken, gyro, or mixed? Can you be here within 15-20 minutes? I'm gonna be completely honest. If it wasn't a family business restaurant, it would have affected us a lot. And I feel bad for the other restaurants that it's not run by family, because we have like 2 or 3 workers right now, and we barely making anything right now. I'm running with my help with my mom and my dad. I'm usually here from 2 till 10 every day for 6 days a week. We have Mondays off because I told my dad I cannot keep doing this for the whole week. Like everything rose by let's say 40%. So the oil, we used to get it before COVID, we used to get it for $15, $16. Now it's about $40. The lettuce, we used to get it for $20. Now it's up to $100, sometimes even if you find it. For example, the oil, just like I said, it went up to $55, which would affect the garlic, because you cannot make garlic without the oil. And other than that, any sauces like ranch, we used to get it for $15. Actually, no, sorry, $12. Now it's almost $22. The meat's 20%, the veggies 15%. Any containers, it went up to by 20% as well. As you can see outside, we made new posters. We paid a lot of money for them. As soon as COVID hit, we had to take the prices off, because if we keep the prices that we have outside, we're not going to make any money. For example, we had 4 pitas, a large side, and 4 pops. We used to have it for $35. It's not going to be worth it for us now, because just the meat by itself, it rose by 20 to 25%. The meat, the oil, the electricity has been going up, the insurance has been going up, the gas has been going up as well. Just want everyone to appreciate, especially small businesses are like ourselves. It's very hard, especially throughout the pandemic, and even after the pandemic, with everything been going up. I understand the people sometimes they get frustrated because of the prices and whatever, but it's not in our hand. I know our sandwiches is for $9, almost $10 right now, but when you eat it, when you finish it, you'll be full. Because we have a lot of customers come in and they tell us, without exaggerating, you're the best shawarma place in town.
I already put a lot in there.
In other news, we've got a warning to share tonight from an animal sanctuary in Chatham, Kent. There is no such thing as a miniature pig. This mini pig might look like something you want for your family at home. Charlotte's Freedom Farm says they're bursting at the seams, though, with these pigs. Most are dropped off within months of their owners taking them home. The problem? Well, they don't stay mini for long. Here's what life is like on a farm overrun by former pets.
Come on. They're like, well, yeah, it's warm in here. Come on, guys. We're here at Charlotte's Freedom Farm. It's an animal sanctuary just north of Chatham, Ontario, and we rescue all sorts of animals here, from dogs and cats to chickens and roosters and goats and pigs. You see a lot of videos of these little 5-pound, 10-pound piglets running around people's house and think, oh, I want that, you know, it's cute, and that would be a lot of fun. The reality is, at full grown, potbelly pigs not going to be smaller than 80 to 100 pounds, and often well over that. I think a lot of people think that they can take in these, what they would think is a mini pig, into their house, and by a few months old, they're ripping up the carpets, the baseboards, they're rooting, they're bored, and they're realizing that it's just not, they don't make a great house pet. The most common sort of sentence that comes from people in these situations to me is, we didn't realize how big he was going to get. You know, we were told he was only going to be 40 or 50 pounds, and you know, they're already at 80 pounds and not a year old yet, and people are just sort of realizing they're in a little over their head. The one that we took in at 5 pounds, so smaller than my Chihuahua, she was tiny, tiny, tiny. You can see her today, she'd be at least 100 pounds now. And they had referred to her as a Juliana mini pig. And I sort of chuckled and thought, there's no such thing as a mini pig. They're still very large animals, very loud, you know, hard to maneuver. If you wanted to adopt a baby pig tomorrow, you'd hop on Kijiji, and there are breeders right across Ontario. There's people breeding their pigs. The potbelly pig situation, in my world, is a huge problem. A week doesn't go by where we're not either tagged in a post, sent a Kijiji ad, or just receiving direct messages and emails of people asking us to take in 1, 2, or 10 pigs. When people purchase a potbelly pig, they're very often being told that they won't reach more than 40 or 50 pounds. The ads are very misleading. It's false information that people are being told something that is completely untrue. I absolutely think there needs to be more education so people aren't getting in over their heads and adopting a pig that that if we had had a conversation, I probably could have stopped them maybe from doing so. We really need to educate people and have people stop supporting purchasing baby pigs from these breeders.
There's a Windsor teen who signed a contract with the Pittsburgh Penguins. It was only a one-day contract, but allowed Logan Ferris to live out his dream day. Have a look at this smile. The 13-year-old was able to lace up his skates with the pro hockey players last week. He said it was an exciting moment hitting the ice alongside some of his heroes.
When we came, I was really nervous, and when we sat down and talked to them, I noticed that they were actually just normal guys, and it was a lot of fun. At the press conference, I was pretty nervous because I don't like speaking in front of people, but it wasn't that bad.
Ferris was able to skate with Sidney Crosby as part of the Make-A-Wish program. He was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia when he was a year old. The day he joined the Penguins was the 12-year anniversary of being diagnosed. His family was able to take in the action as well.
To come meet Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins, it has been just fantastic.
Story. Still to come here on CBC Windsor News, warmer temps to come briefly, and then some rain as well. We'll have your full forecast right after the break. This week, CBC Windsor is partnering with the Windsor Public Library to host a series of fun family activities for March break. People will have the chance to leave their mark by drawing a self-portrait on a community mural showcasing the diverse faces of the city. I met with Amanda Wanmei today at the library to chat about the special kids book she'll be reading, and I also asked her about a project she's been working on that focuses on local immigrants.
I found myself wanting to hear the stories of the integration process of immigrants and refugees. You see, there's a focus on the newcomer experience, right? You've just arrived. What are you experiencing? What are you seeing? And then there's a focus on the end of the tunnel story, the successes, right? This immigrant family has had this business open for 20 plus years, or this immigrant doctor has saved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 a million lives. And I feel like there isn't a focus on the integration portion, the in-between, as I like to call it, which, for myself at least, was the hardest part. It's the gray area that we have to navigate all by ourselves. We need to talk about it because a lot of times we try to put it aside and push it away because it's very traumatic.
And we're inside the Budimir branch. Why are we in a library talking about this?
So the library is one of the first places that you're introduced to as an immigrant and refugee, and it's because it's a communal space, and it's a safe space, and it has a special place in my heart. This library is actually my library that I grew up with here. I remember when my home life was very stressful because we were new immigrants and everybody just trying to survive, and you're a kid and you just want to escape. There was no place better than this library for me.
And the library project that you've been working on, why did you want to do this project and share the stories that you'll be sharing?
My idea was to have a sit-down conversation, myself and 2 other immigrants who can maybe share their knowledge or their memories or their anecdotes regarding certain topics like mental health or financial literacy or friendships and relationships as an immigrant. These are all topics that are extremely important for us that are scarcely spoken about.
And tomorrow, you'll be here again doing something pretty special. Tell us about that.
That's right. I'll be here reading Where Are You From by Chamila Said Mendez. And the book is so beautiful. It's about this little girl that's always being asked, where are you from? And I think that's the most constant question that you get as an immigrant. Where are you from? And it's supposed to be simple, but it becomes quite complex because you start to question your identity as you become an immigrant. I mean, who am I? And what part of me is what I used to be? What part of me is my history? And what part of me is this new Canadian identity, right? And I want to read this story because it's special and it's important and it shows that you're not alone in that experience. And because it's a place for us to kind of come together and create a piece of art. We're going to create a beautiful mural of hands. So we're going to have little kids trace their hands, and we're going to have people draw their faces and put it on this big white paper that will demonstrate the different faces of Windsor.
And you can be a part of showing the many faces of Windsor. It's all happening tomorrow at the Budimir Library branch on Grand Maris Road West. Our team will be there from 11 to 1 for story time and creating a mural of everyone's faces and handprints. Then again from 3 to 5 in the afternoon for what we're calling the Afternoon Art Masters to continue that mural. If you can't make it, don't worry. You'll be able to contribute to that community art piece until Friday. That's the end of March break. Let's take a live look outside right now. A sunny day here in Windsor after waking up to some fresh snow this morning. Colette's off for March break, so I've got your short forecast tonight, and it's going to be chilly, -5 in the forecast, but the wind chill making it feel like -15 tonight. And those cold temperatures are going to stick around in the morning as well. Tomorrow looks like the nicest day, but it's the wind that's going to really make it freeze and be a bit chilly. Wind chill of -17 in the morning, a high of 8 degrees though. We're looking at rain on Thursday night. It's going to continue into Friday morning. Temperatures will likely dip on Friday, and that's going to turn the rain into snow. Could be a messy day in more ways than one. It's also St. Patrick's Day. As for the weekend, Saturday and Sunday looking the same, cloudy with a chance for flurries. Still to come here on CBC Windsor News Live at 6, an unplanned moment at the Junos last night. We'll take you there right after the break. The Juno Awards celebrated the best in Canadian music last night in Edmonton. The show handed out 5 of the biggest awards during the broadcast and featured several performances from both established Canadian artists and up-and-comers. Tate McRae with her song All I Wanna Be, and the usually tame awards show did experience its share of controversy this year. Avril Lavigne was interrupted shortly after the show got underway. A topless woman rushed the stage and maneuvered around Lavigne while she continued presenting. The phrases "Save the Greenbelt" and "Land Back" were written on the woman's body. She was eventually escorted off stage after Lavigne confronted her with some choice words. Julia Wong now was at the event and has more on the less controversial, music-focused highlights.
It was an electrifying night in Edmonton as the best in Canadian music were celebrated and took the stage for the annual Juno Awards. Alberta-born Nickelback put on a show-stopping performance. Now, this band is celebrating 27 years together, and they were inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame. For whatever reason, Nickelback is either loved or hated, and they had this message for their critic.
We're four guys that make music, and we have been absolutely ripped through the mud, and worse, for a good 15 years of our 27-year career. So what's it like? It sucks. What's it like to win this award tonight? Redemption.
Yeah. Host Simu Liu kept the 2-hour show moving, whether it was by singing or dancing or even backflipping his way through the ceremony. Winners included Jesse Reyes for Contemporary R&B Recording of the Year, Toby for Rap Album of the Year, The Weeknd picked up a Juno for Album of the Year, and Avril Lavigne beat out The Weeknd and took home the award for Fan Choice. Preston Pablo was named the Breakthrough Artist of the Year.
First of all, I'd just like to thank my family for being my biggest supporters from the jump. My brother Dawson, man, for just really pushing me to keep doing this and to get here.
The Junos also marked a milestone in music history, celebrating 50 years of hip-hop, with a performance from groundbreaking artists like Michie Mee and Maestro Fresh West. Now, this awards show brought together fans from coast to coast to coast, and the Junos will be heading to Halifax next year. Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.
The 2026 World Cup will be in North America. That includes matches in Toronto, and now we know fans will be treated to even more games. At a FIFA Council meeting today in Rwanda, it was confirmed there will be 104 games instead of the 64 games that were played in the World Cup last year. The increase of 40 games will accommodate the World Cup expansion from 32 teams to 48, the biggest World Cup ever. Here's how that will shake down. There will now be 12 groups of 4 nations in the qualifying round, and the knockout stages will feature the top 2 teams of each group like previous cups, but now they'll also include the top 8 third-place finishers, increasing the knockout stage from a round of 16 to a round of 32. Some critics are worrying that that will tire out the players. Certainly a lot more action for the fans, though. Canada gets an automatic entrance into this World Cup as one of its hosts, and it's all set to begin June 8th, 2026. That's it for us here at CBC Windsor News Live at 6. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, for news anytime, head to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. We're on social media as well. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And don't forget, we're over at the Budimir Library tomorrow in Windsor. You can pop in for a chance to create some art, take part in story time, and learn more about an upcoming CBC Windsor series highlighting the journeys of immigrants to our region. Have a great night.